What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can tell, based on how I'm dressed and the tools here in front of me, we are ready to sand and paint the basement project. But before we start making a mess, I'm actually gonna do a quick DIY air scrubber build. So if you ever are in a pinch and you need to kind of filter the air that you're working in, maybe a little remodel project in your house, we'll go through this real quick. I'll show you how I'm gonna build this. Super simple, super cost effective, and you don't have to go out and buy some fancy air scrubber. Hey, what's up, guys? So today's video is sponsored by RRB Tools. We've got a new tool. Wait, RRB Tools, guys, that is me. This video is sponsored by me, and that is because I've got a brand new custom framing tool belt, okay? This is framing specific, but it could work for anybody. And today, we just launched a giveaway. I'm gonna be giving away some of these tool belts pre-launch, and you can go sign up to be notified because the actual pre-sale is gonna happen very soon. You can get all those details on the website. This is a tool belt that I've designed over the last year, trying to make it specifically what I want. That doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect for everybody, but I think it's a pretty darn awesome tool belt, and I will be doing more content in the future to go over this whole setup. But if you want more information, check out the link in the description. Go get signed up for the giveaway, and maybe sign up for the notification so you can get a heads up when it goes live, because we've got a small-ish production run right out the bat, so they're not gonna last forever, guys. So thanks a lot to our sponsor, RRB Tools. What we've got is I think this cost me $17. This is a little 20-inch box fan. And then what you're gonna need is 4 sets of 20 by 20 pleated air filters. These are just furnace filters, and depending on really how much scrubbing you wanna do, I got the 2-inch only because it's a little bit more of a sturdy box. So what we need is some tape, and right off the bat, I'll just say, you gotta think about, there is an arrow on the filter so you know which way the airflow is. We gotta make sure that we're doing this correctly. So I just wanted to say that out loud, mainly so that I don't miss it. So what we're gonna do is just make a simple square with these. And I'm just gonna go ahead, air is gonna go into these. I'm just gonna do this real quick to kind of tack it together. The whole purpose of this air scrubber is once we start sanding, we are gonna be using the Festool Planex. The thing has great filtration. There's hardly any dust. However, I do have to do some hand sanding, as well as once I start painting, that does not have any sort of containment on it. So all that little particles that are gonna be flying around, I'm gonna be spraying it. This will help kind of filter that air instead of getting into my ducts going up the stairs to my house. I'm gonna do the best I can to tape everything off, but there we go. So we've got basically these 4 sides. I'm gonna real quickly now go ahead and tape these all together. So we've got our box here. Now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take the box from our fan. Let's go ahead and cut this up. Go ahead and tape this. Okay, so that's actually our bottom. Now we can flip that over. We've got our fan. We want to make sure that it is blowing out. Okay, this is going to set just like so. And the last thing we want to do is, this is a 20-inch fan. We kind of want to get as much of this exterior kind of covered up. And the reason for that is we want to force air into the filter and straight out. We don't want that fan blowing out, but sucking air into these corners. That's also why we did as much taping as we did. So I'm gonna do a quick circle cut here. It's gonna be something like that. So we just find the middle here. Okay, close enough. I'd say this step is probably somewhat not necessary, but if you're gonna take a couple minutes to do this, might as well just get it done. Okay. So there we go. That is a super simple, you can move it around, air scrubber, it's portable. I guess at the end of the day, after the job, you can throw away all the filters, keep the fan, and build one for the next one. So, you know, I don't know, I'll probably get a real air scrubber at some point, but I kind of gotten out of the remodeling game, and this cost me, I think the filters were $8 or $9. The fan was $17, so I'm in it, whatever that is, 40, let's just say $60 and about 20 minutes of my time. The real thing is, let's see at the end of the job just how dirty these filters are and if it stays pretty decently clean in the air in here once we get going. All right, we got the prep work done. I got the air scrubber running. I'm gonna go around, and what I like to do, because I am going to be using the Festool Planex, that thing gets really close to everything. What I really want to do is just run my hand sander into these corners, and I want to just look for any little chunks of drywall that might be kind of left from running my butt or my tape beds into the corner, and then where I've done some like trowel work and kind of left myself a groove. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And I'm using this 45-degree sanding block just because it helps kind of get into that corner and make a nice clean edge, versus if you take the square, you might think, well, that would do both sides at the same time. Actually, if things aren't perfect, you get like a line from this here. So I like to just do it one side at a time and just make sure that both sides look good independently. Just make sure there's nothing major sticking out here. The beauty is if you can make it look halfway decent, like decent with a light on an angle, especially down here in a basement without any windows, any real natural light, it's gonna be just perfect. We're gonna do the best we can. They always say you don't have to be a good drywall mutter, you just gotta be a good sander. Looking pretty good so far. Nothing too scary anyway. I'm sure over here, closets we don't care too much about. We can run those pretty quick. Sure, there's gonna be something that I say, oh my God, Kyle, what the heck? Probably be like this sort of deal where I patched in all this crap. As long as I can smooth it out though, I'll be fine. Okay. All right. Good enough, guys, because if it looks decent with the flashlight, I'm pretty much happy with it. So let's go ahead and get the Planex set up. Get a little bit of fresh air. I hate wearing filter masks. And then we'll do the fun stuff, which is the Festool Planex sanding. See that? All there, not up here. I like it. I love this tool, man. This thing changed my whole thought process behind doing any sort of drywall finishing work. It is just almost too easy. go 3. We're on the wall, low suction. Okay. And start here. Say that's like the least dusty you ever get doing drywall sanding using this guy right here. I mean, it does a phenomenal job. I gotta assume that this thing is full of dust, but I think what the nicest thing about this is when you're done, it does a good job of taking all the dust off of the wall, so you don't have as much prep work to do for painting. So I'm gonna get a light out, go around, just make sure if there's anything I need to hit by hand. Like I know in some areas I wanna get my sander that I seen. The Planex has that halo light on it, and it really highlights every mistake in your mud process. The good thing is, like I said, if you can make it look decent with a light, it's gonna look really good by the time this is kind of in its finished state, because there's not gonna be much natural light other than the egress window we put in. So I'm just gonna walk around real quick with a light, check everything out, and then we're in cleanup mode for paint. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna dial this into about 2000 PSI, which is nice. We got the smart control on the Graco. This is the 450 if anybody's curious. Had good luck with it so far, haven't used a ton. Hopefully it gets nice and bright in here. Doing about a 50% overlap. Trying to stay about 12 to 14 inches off the wall. Just move at a nice steady pace. All right, so what I like to do, actually let's turn this, is back roll after I spray. So I've got my 18-inch roller. I like the 18 because it puts pressure on both sides, and we're just looking to take away if I had any sort of weird excess spraying area. Also, I feel like this little bit of texture from the roller, I'm not looking for a level 5 smooth glass finish. I actually don't like that. And this just gives it a little bit of something, something. Plus, I'm gonna end up putting a roller on it as soon as I do my finish paint anyway. So, yeah, I just think this gives it a nice, even look. I can kind of also see if I had any areas that I didn't like, and I can hit them again. But this looks like we're getting a pretty nice coverage with the sprayer. And it's gonna get pretty, my guess, hazy in here. There's gonna be some particles flying around. I don't think the air scrubber is gonna do perfect like during the process, but it should clean up as soon as I stop. So let's go ahead and we'll just run some time lapse. We'll get this all sprayed out here in this room, and then we'll move to the next one. All right, hey, not bad. Two things. First off, it looks great. Nothing really jumps out at me. I'm not seeing like an edge of the mud that didn't get sanded well. Second thing, this air scrubber is, look at this. There's like nothing floating around. I mean, I stopped spraying a couple minutes ago, back rolled it, and I feel like this pulled out everything out of the air. So definitely this is making a difference. I'm gonna go ahead now, move that into this area, and we'll get into these smaller confined areas, get it all sprayed up, and get this first coat of primer on. What a difference a good coat of paint makes. I told you guys, wait around to the end to see how good this did. And here's what I can say. If you go back and watch the RRHQ Rec Room paint, we used the same sprayer, same paint, and it was in the air forever. Almost as soon as we're done spraying, it's clean in the air. It did a really good job, so I highly recommend, if you haven't got yourself a air scrubber yet, just spend like 50, 60 bucks and build yourself one. This was definitely worth it, and I will be using one of these for the remainder of my career. And who knows, maybe I'll invest in a real one or build a version 2.0 that's, I got some ideas, so stick around. I got an idea to DIY this thing. You know me, I like to save money when possible, so. Wow, this is awesome, turned out great. 5 gallons, just ran out on a little bit of a second coat over here. It looks like great coverage. Nothing stuck out at me where I need to go back and do any fixing. I mean, when I start painting by hand, the color, I might see something, have to do a little bit of sanding, but I think that's what I'll do next. I'll get a color applied to these walls. That way we can be ready for flooring, guys. So we got flooring coming up, and then we'll be doing our trim. With the flooring, we've got an LVP. Remember the RRHQ 2.0 upstairs rec room? We did the floorette 9-inch, actually 8 and 15/16. If you remember that debacle, you guys know what I'm talking about. This is gonna be the Craftsman style, which I do believe is 3 1/4. So it's gonna be a smaller plank. It'll take a little bit more time, but I think it's gonna look awesome. So if that excites you, stick around for that, and we'll get this ready for flooring. So thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. We'll catch you later and see you on the next video.